Let's go.
I'm almost done mowing
You
this
are
section.
ridiculous.
You're listening to The Morning Show, streamed by clicking the WHOW live icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It is brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Julia Livingston is the executive director of Macon County CASA and joins me in studio. A good Monday to you, Julia. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Always good to have you in studio and catch up on the latest with Macon County CASA and continuing to just make dividends in DeWitt County. 4 more CASAs sworn in. What was it, last week, I think? Or week before?
So we had 1 sworn in last week, and we have 4 that are entered into our current class to be sworn in next month.
Okay. It's just continuing to make those inroads. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we knew this would be an issue of just timing, just putting in the work and really helping to educate the community on what it is that we do and giving them that opportunity. What we're hearing is a lot of community members from DeWitt have heard about CASA. And so they are excited and pleased at the opportunity to help DeWitt's kids right here with a CASA of our own.
So with this group of 4 that's coming up, what will that take you to in terms of CASAs in the county?
Yeah, so we'll have 11 actually, which is really exciting and making huge strides just in our first year of expansion, like you said.
For sure. Remind us, Julia, what's a CASA? What's their role with a child? How about some of those things?
So we are court-appointed special advocates. We recruit and train community volunteers to be sworn into this role by the JA judge. And once they're sworn in, they are assigned to a case with a child or a sibling set of children. And essentially, they actually offer an extra set of eyes and ears on the children for the judge, offering consistency to those children, providing resources as they find out what's needed, and really giving them the voice in the form of a court report that goes back to the judge every 6 months.
Sure. You mentioned resources that they might need. What does that look like?
Yeah, our children have endured a lot of trauma. And so as they get to know the children, spend time with them, they might learn that the children might need some additional school help. So we have educational advocacy where we provide tutors, or they might realize that a child needs some counseling based on an experience that they had in their home. And just connecting with the caseworker, connecting with resources that are right here in DeWitt County to make sure that the children get enrolled in those to overcome those traumatic experiences.
I'm sure we've talked about this in the past, but perhaps not to the maybe depth that I'd like to today. What is the benefit of a CASA? What kind of impact do they make on a child?
Well, most importantly, it's that consistency. The children have, in the 2 years that they're typically in foster care, they have a lot of people coming in and out of their lives. There's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of change. And it's really reassuring to them to have this one person who they call their CASA friend to always be there. Even though they move from foster home to foster home, they know that their CASA friend is going to find them at that next home and make sure that they're okay and safe.
Yeah.
Obviously, also safety. That's a big important one too. Even though they've been removed from an abusive home, doesn't mean that they're always safe. So we need to lay eyes directly on those children in their different locations to make sure they're safe. And then finally, we keep the case moving. So, if things need to keep happening, we're there to say that it needs to keep happening. Because of CASA being assigned, we're able to actually help close the case 6 months faster.
Oh, really?
Than if a child did not have a CASA advocate.
Why is that?
Again, we keep the case moving. Parents need these services. Caseworker, let's get these services going. Parents, keep encouraged and keep doing these things so that you can get the services done, rehabilitate, and get your children back. We just simply keep things moving, where otherwise, a caseworker has so many more cases and they can't always focus on just that one.
Yeah.
And so if things are moving smoothly in a case, it might not get the attention that it needs to keep moving quickly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for sure. When it comes to a CASA and this child, does the relationship carry on beyond the duration of a case? Will they remain connected? And by the way, what is the age range of a child that a CASA may encounter? Can you speak to those two things?
Yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely. It is a relationship. It's meant to be. And those don't just simply end because the case closes, the child's adopted or reunified with their parents. I had a case for 3 years, and that case closed last year. And I'm still in contact regularly with the mom who was reunified with her daughters after completing all of her services,
Mhm.
she reaches out to me as a resource for parenting questions, resources still,
Mhm.
and even just to check in and let me know that the girls are okay, which we value that. I was
Yeah.
even invited to a birthday party.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think, you really become a part of that family in terms of an important person in that child's life.
Sure.
We can receive children from birth to 21 years old.
Oh, wow.
So these children range in age completely from birth to 21.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Again, our guest in studio this morning is Julia Livingston, Executive Director of the Macon County CASA program. When it comes to that child and that CASA relationship, do they do casual things together, like go to a park, or like is it a mentor kind of thing as well in addition to that?
Absolutely. As the relationship grows and people feel more comfortable, so people meaning yourself as the volunteer, the child with you, as well as the foster parents, you begin to do more casual things. Let's go to the park today. We had a CASA advocate, or several CASA advocates. We received tickets to the Harlem Wizards game that was
cool.
this last week in Decatur.
Mhm.
And we had several CASAs take those free tickets and take their CASA kiddos to that event.
Cool.
Because the CASA kid typically probably wouldn't have been able to afford to get to go to that event.
Right.
And so these are really important interactions. We had some male volunteers take some boys, and they haven't gotten that chance to have like that positive male relationship, which we know is so important for boys as they are aging up, And so, yes, absolutely. It can be casual, go to the library, go to the zoo, hit up McDonald's for dinner, things like that. But it definitely grows as the relationships grow.
Sure. This isn't necessarily CASA related, but how often is that child-parent relationship restored? And do you feel like CASA has a big influence on maybe a more frequent restoration of those reuniting of families and things? Does that make sense?
It does. So it actually happens 40% of the time
Okay.
here in Macon and DeWitt counties. And that is actually on target with the state level as well, 40%. That's not a large enough number. We would love to see more children get reunified with their parents, because we know that the best place for children is with their parents,
Right.
not in an abusive home, but in a rehabilitated home.
Mhm.
CASA, the court, the judge, the caseworkers, we all support reuniting families together until that's not the goal.
Right.
And, that happens just as the case grows.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the progression of the case. I mean,
It is.
You adapt as it goes along.
You
So,
do.
yeah.
You do. But we encourage that. We really want to see parents, learn better and really have more knowledge about how to care for their children, because sometimes this is generational. That's what they've seen, or sometimes it's situational. They have these financial burdens or these other, an abusive paramour. And just educating and helping them get out of those situations and into a more safe situation for all, is really important.
Well, and you mentioned, it is a cyclical thing oftentimes. And I feel like CASA would be a program that would break that cycle. You provide a stable relationship for this child. And, obviously it's not a parent, but they take what they saw and they learned and experienced, and perhaps they implement that in their future relationships, and thus breaking the cycle. Is that a fair assessment?
I think it's absolutely fair. We're still too young to develop those kinds of, numbers,
Right.
because, thinking about us being around for 24 years, I mean, some of our younger ones are just maybe now becoming parents, you know what I mean? So, but as the years go on, I definitely see that correlation with us. And, those relationships are so important to, helping that child become a more productive adult.
Totally.
We do believe that.
100%. I wish I would have left more time for this, Julia, but tell us about future CASA trainings, how folks can get involved. What does it look like to be a CASA? Give us some of those details.
Yeah. So our next class is actually coming up in June. And this is an exciting one because we don't offer it often, but it's an accelerated class. So rather than the 6-week typical class, you come in and you are trained and sworn in within 3 weeks. And the June training is really nice because historically we've offered it for probably 4 summers now, but historically it's been a really popular one with educators. This is a chance for educators to come in, get the training in, still not use all of their summer, get onto their case and get a new normal in before they start their, their school back in the fall.
So accelerated, what does that look like? You said it's 3 sessions instead of 6.
3 weeks.
Or 3 weeks instead of 6.
Yeah. And so rather than the 1 week, session per week, you actually have 2.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Very
like a
good.
Tuesday, Thursday versus just a Tuesday.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very good. So look forward to that. And again, with the CASA volunteers, for them, it's got to be rewarding that they're helping a child. They're helping someone in great need. Probably some of the greatest needs we have in our community are kids who are out of their homes, who are in an abusive situation. The benefit for the CASA is just as much for the child.
It is. These are our community's most vulnerable people, the children. And our volunteers typically say that this is the most rewarding volunteer experience they've ever had. And I think that's saying a lot, because you can directly see what your time spent means in that child's life.
Totally.
And I think when you're valuing your time, you want to make sure that you're doing something worthwhile.
Absolutely. Tell us how folks get registered for this June, correct?
Yeah,
training
class. So go to MaconCountyCASA.org, and there's information about the training there. First step is to complete a 5-minute volunteer application online. You're going to put in 3 non-family references, and then we will contact you from there.
Very good. So be a part of it. Anything I missed in all that conversation, Julia, you want to hit on?
So we do have the Playhouse raffle still going on right
sure.
now. And so, man, DeWitt County is really enjoying our Playhouses. We do have 3. One is placed, the Mr. Tumnus house is in the Mr. Lincoln Square, and lots of people are choosing to buy tickets from there. But just because that's the one that's there, we actually have 2 others that are located in Macon County and Central Park. You can buy tickets for all 3, and you don't have to be present to win when we pull the tickets the winners on June 9th.
Sure. Let's talk about that more when we come back. But in the meantime, where do folks get information on those Playhouses and the raffle tickets for those?
MaconCountyCASA.org. You can purchase right there. But then also the Clinton Chamber right here has tickets available in person too.
Awesome, Julia. Good stuff. Let's talk more after a break. Julia Livingston is the executive director of the Macon County CASA, our guest in studio. More to come on the WHOW Morning Show.
MR Systems Wireless has an immediate opening. They're looking for a full-time internet installer to perform the initial setup of wireless internet and voice-over IP services, as well as troubleshoot and repair wireless and phone services for customers. You'll be responsible for the basic installation and maintenance of wireless equipment. No experience necessary. Includes health benefits, mileage reimbursed. Starting pay is $15 an hour. Find out more and apply by going to mrsystemswireless.com, then clicking About, then Employment. Equal opportunity employer.
If you're driving a tractor in a no passing zone, you should not pull over to let cars pass you unless you can safely and completely move your tractor onto the shoulder of the road. Don't just wave cars to pass you, as this can create confusion, especially if they can't see the road ahead. This week and every week in 2022, think and practice safety first.
This message brought to you by AHW in Clinton. Tomorrow's solutions today.
Attention Republicans, stand by for important election information. Oh, Democrats can listen too, I guess. But they probably won't, because if you're still a Democrat, you're clearly not paying attention. Anyway, in the Republican primary for Congress, President Trump has endorsed conservative Mary Miller. Repeat, Mary Miller is the official Trump choice for Congress. We like repeating it to annoy any Democrats who are still listening. Well, the point is, Mary Miller backs term limits. She's strong on election integrity. And Mary Miller will stand up to AOC and the green energy socialists that are just killing us at the gas pump. Conservative Mary Miller for Congress, the Trump Republican choice. And in case Joe Biden hears this, we now repeat our message in a way he can understand. Trump endorsed Mary Miller. Paid for by Club for Growth Action, clubforgrowthaction.org, and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You're listening to The Morning Show, streamed by clicking the WHOW live icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence, and the WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It is brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest in studio this morning, Julia Livingston, Executive Director of the Macon County CASA program. And we've mentioned it a couple of times here so far this morning, and I know last visit, Julia, as well, Well, April is Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Yep.
Folks have driven by City Hall and the county building in DeWitt County. They've noticed those 50 blue pinwheels. That's part of what you're doing in April. There's also other efforts. Yesterday was Blue Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Tell us what's going on with some of these things.
Yeah, we always talk with the community about what's going on with our community's children because education is part of our mission. We need to make sure everybody knows why we're even needed. But we use April as sort of our month to be the loudest, we call it, because we really use that platform to say, listen, this is happening. These are ways that we need to recognize it, but then also we need to try to prevent it.
Yeah, sure.
And so we use April to do that. So we did place the blue pinwheels up. 50 of them here in DeWitt County at the courthouse lawn with a sign just to help people recognize, these are children that are right here. And that was a great awareness piece. We've had a lot of people comment and tell us, I had no idea that there were that many children in foster care.
Sure.
We also did a Wear Blue Day at the beginning of the month, and we partnered with a local luxury sock company, and they created for us CASA socks, which we sold.
Really? That's cool.
And we still have some, but they are $20 and $5 of every pair of socks comes back to CASA.
Oh, that's cool.
And we had a great reception. I think we had something like 14 Clinton high school teachers purchase those socks and wear them and,
nice.
In support of CASA and the work that we're doing.
Very good.
And then finally, you're right. Yesterday was Blue Sunday. Second time we've done this, but really just a testament to our new friendships that we've made. We actually had 25 churches from DeWitt and Macon counties participate and be represented in this event. And so churches participated in their own services yesterday morning, but then we also had an event in Decatur at the Decatur House of Prayer, where lots of church faith-based community members came. And we really just offered the time to pray for our community's foster children. And also for the adults who advocate for them.
That's cool. And you mentioned, there's also an understanding that not everyone is faith-based, but you still want to reach those people. How are you doing that?
Yeah, we're inclusive. CASA's inclusive, and we take people where they are. We don't all have to be the same to have the same mission of caring for our community's children. And so yesterday was just a great opportunity to invite those faith-based friends to participate in this event and really feel a worthwhile meaningfulness on, helping our community's children in this way. There are lots of ways to help.
Sure. Well, in our final moments together, Julia, you mentioned that July. By the way, did I miss anything about April you want to put out there? How the month went, anything like that?
No, we hope that, the momentum that we carry in April is able to carry throughout the rest of the year, and that people really start to be aware that, the children may not be in your home, but our community's children are directly affected by these children. They're sitting in the classroom with your children, and you're coming across them in many ways. So figure out a way that you can help.
Well, and to that end, to kind of continue the conversation and not necessarily wrap it up, we've talked in the past about maybe someone doesn't have the time or the financial resources to, get involved that way with Macon County CASA. What else can they do? And you mentioned, impacting children that may be coming into your home as the friends of your kids, or, you encounter them at school or things like that. Like, how do we make an impact on these kids' lives? But we're not necessarily directly involved with CASA.
Right. So, we have many friends of CASA. So, I definitely encourage everybody to familiarize themselves with our mission and things that we do on our website, which is maconcountykasa.org, or go and like our Facebook page, which is Macon County CASA, serving Macon and DeWitt counties. Sure. We share a lot of education pieces about abuse and awareness. Share that, get your friends involved, tag people, that might be a good fit to be a volunteer.
Definitely.
And those are all different ways. Participate. We have many friend raisers that don't require you spending any money. It just might be, you spending time or inviting people to things.
Cool. And again, anything else to that end you want to add?
No, we're so grateful to continue to make friends right here in DeWitt County. I feel like we've been very well received. People are really understanding why we're here and why we're needed. And I think those are the most important things we can use just carrying forward as we, come closer to the end of our first year.
Definitely. And well, to that end, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where I wanted to go next, was just the amount of support that you've been able to rally in less than a year. 11 CASA workers or 11 CASA volunteers, making an impact on on the lives of our kids in the county. Talk a little bit about why you think you've been so successful, what you've done to make that success happen.
Well, we came in pretty determined. We knew there was a job to do. We knew the task completely. But also huge testament to the fact that we're working with 24 years of experience, right, in Macon County. And so we sort of know how things operate well, and just extending that to DeWitt County has been just an awesome experience, and getting those friendships for CASA as well.
Do you think having it on a smaller scale compared to Decatur helps as well? It's a smaller community. I don't want to say not as many people to reach, but when you put a message out there, it gets to more people. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like I didn't say that very well.
It does. I think, I don't know, because Macon County is a really great community in that there's so much connectedness. It's like a big, small,
And I didn't want to take anything away from them, and I felt like I did. So
Absolutely,
I apologize for that.
No, I think the end game is closer in DeWitt County, right? To speak to the numbers.
Yeah, sure.
And so maybe people feel like, with my one person, I can truly make that huge help. And I do think, we hear a lot of people say, I knew about CASA already, so I think that's important too. But they're finally excited to get this opportunity to help children right here in DeWitt County.
Sure.
So, I think that's huge, and we just feel fortunate to have that reception.
Very quickly, tell us how folks learn more about Macon County CASA.
MaconCountyCASA.org. You can also give us a call at the office at 217-428-8424.
Sure. Julia, always good to have you. Thank you so much. Julia Livingston, Executive Director of the Macon County CASA program, our guest. Network news on the way on the WHOW Morning Show.
With SRN News.